Welcome to Crime and Wine. I'm Pamela Fagan Hutchins, your host, and this is the show where I talk with other crime fiction writers about the stories of thrills and suspense that will leave you mystified, sometimes horrified, and always wanting more. Please join me in welcoming today's special guest.
Hello out there, you guys. It's Pamela Fagan Hutchins. This is Crime and Wine, and it's going to be a fun show. Before I get into what we're going to do today, though, I want to thank you for being here, and I want to remind you that you can, at any point in time, head out to my website, PamelaFaganHutchins.com, where you can see more about the show. You can see who the upcoming guests are, and read ahead, kind of book club their books, if you will, and also see past shows. So you can watch episodes with the likes of Sandra Brown and Craig Johnson and CJ Box and all of my favorites. But today we have one of my current favorites and a friend of mine. I would like to give a big, warm Crime and Wine greeting to Tammy L. Grace. Hi.
Hi, Pamela. Thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you. And I am absolutely thrilled and excited for your Cooper Harrington book to come out. Number 5, right? Number 5 in your series?
Right. It just came out in May. So it's available now for anybody who's hooked on the series. And if you're not hooked on the series, I always recommend you start with the first one, Killer Music.
And, which I loved. I absolutely
loved. Good. Yeah. I really like these characters a lot. They're fun.
Now, I have to ask, because, you know, anyone that does a little internet stalking of you can see that you have a very spoiled golden retriever in your household. Is that correct?
Yeah, she probably doesn't think so, but yes, she's pretty spoiled. Our son, when he comes to visit, he's like, I can't believe this dog. So yeah.
We treat our dogs better than we treated our kids when they were growing up. They're like,
oh, really? So he thinks, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Our kids are always like, it's not your child. You know, I was your child. Now I'm your adult child. You know,
like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Think what you like. Bye-bye. We'll see you later.
So which came first? Gus in the Cooper Harrington books, the golden retriever in the books, or your very own girl?
Well, actually, when I wrote the first one, I had a different golden retriever, and I lost her. So she was the inspiration of all the dogs in all my books. I write a women's fiction series, and she's featured she's the dog in the first book that I ever wrote. And then she just kind of carried over with all the books because I've got dogs in all of them because I love dogs. And then yeah, so she was the inspiration for Gus, but really the inspiration for this series came from a trip to Nashville. I went with a friend, and she was in a class. I had just retired from my real job and went with her and spent like a week or a week and a half. She was in class all day, so I just had a rental car and went all over Nashville and looked at stuff, and that's how this whole series came to be. I was at a really neat botanical garden and art museum type place. It's called Cheekwood. And I was just browsing around, and I thought, oh, you know, this would be a great place for a murder. So that's kind of how it happened. And then I drove around some more and came up with my detective character. My dad's always been in law enforcement, and so we've always had lots of stories about crime. And I've always wanted to write a detective series. So that's kind of just how that all, you know, how you're just thinking of a little idea and you get a little sparkle and then it all comes to fruition.
Absolutely. Those ideas that take you over. Well, Nashville is certainly a city with a whole lot of personality and a great backdrop for a series with a whole lot of personality. Right. So good choice. Great karma that you went on the trip so that you
I know it just happened to work out, and I had a really fun time. So I thought, oh, this will be a fun thing to do.
Well, one of the things that I love about doing these StreamYards live is that our viewers that are seeing this on Facebook have a chance to check in. And so Diane Allen Robinson wants to be sure we know that she is here and just finished snapping fresh green beans and getting dinner started. I haven't started cooking. I mean, this is a
I'm going to be doing that when I'm done.
Maybe we can go eat it with Diane because fresh.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds good.
Well, thanks. And Cindy Lynn's I can't speak. Cindy Lynn's Bonner's here as well. So welcome, ladies. Okay, so you and I have been in the same book group for a couple of years now, but you've been in far longer than me. You're one of the founders of my book friends.
Well, no, it started before me. I've been there a long time. Yeah.
Well, you were the one that invited me to be part of it. So I do want to say thank you to that because it's so much fun.
You are most welcome. We love having you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And Diane wants us to know she can come on over, and Cindy Gilroy is here too. In fact, I think I recognize a few of these people from My Book Friends. As a matter of fact, this is almost turning into a My Book Friends family reunion.
Yeah, there you go. Or a murder mystery group.
Yeah, exactly. You guys will have to comment with some questions about the Cooper Harrington series and let us know if you've read the books and whether you've gotten Deadly Deception yet. So the idea for the series came from this trip to Nashville. The inspiration for Gus was your a golden retriever a generation ago. But what about the book Deadly Deception, this new one? How did it come about? Tell us a little bit about it.
You know, I just thought, how much fun this would be if you went to a murder mystery dinner and instead of just the actor getting involved, there was actually a dead body at the event. And so I just thought, what would happen if that happened? So Coop, who's my main character, he is a bachelor and he lives with his Aunt Camille, who has a lot of money and lives in Belmead, which is a really posh area there. And so she's always kind of dragging him along to charity events, and she belongs to lots of clubs. So this was a charity event, a big gala at one of her friends' big houses. And so that's where it all takes place. And instead of just the actors getting involved in the dirty murder, they run across an actual dead body. And then the fun kicks off.
It would kind of ruin the appetite, you know, dead body over dinner. But fun. True. Now, have you been to murder mystery dinners before?
No, and I'm just dying to do that. But I haven't.
It's super fun. And if you ever come to Wyoming, you have to come to one of ours because I wrote a murder mystery for specifically a historical Bighorn, Wyoming, turn of the century, 1900, actually 1890 murder mystery that we throw at our house for charity every year. So I cordially invite you.
That would be super fun.
Cindy Bonner said that she's read all your books and got to be an ARC reader. Woohoo! Will Coop and Annabelle ever get together?
No, Cindy, I get that question all the time. And I got to say, I have zero plans for that because I really enjoy just writing the mystery. And I think it's kind of fun. I don't know. I know readers might feel differently. I think it's fun to have that little bit of tension there where everybody kind of knows they're perfect for each other, but they don't. It's kind of one of those things. So yeah. I think I've seen too many series where, especially TV series, where they ruin that little edge that they have by getting them together because then the party's over. So I don't know.
They either absolutely have to be together from the beginning. What was that Heart to Heart years ago where it was a married couple?
Yeah.
Or they have to stay apart because like you think about like Castle. Did you
Castle? I was just going to say, I think they ruined Castle when they did that.
I do too. And it was so.
And I love that show.
Sizzling. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think it's a smart plan. I think it's a very smart plan, even though you're going to be toying with readers' emotions for a long time.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
There, Cindy. Yeah,
absolutely.
it would ruin it. I think it would ruin it either way because,
Takes
that's
that
how it
tension
goes.
out, takes it
Yep.
out, takes the sizzle out. Now, what happens next? Because we can't talk too much about any one book, you guys, because it'll immediately lead to spoilers. But is there a 6 or more that you
Oh,
envision?
yeah.
You think
Yeah.
you'll keep
I've
going?
got a notebook full of ideas for Coop. So
I love it.
it's a never ending series in my mind. It's just a matter of how much time I have to work on which series. But I actually already started book 6.
Good for you. I mean, not that you don't have a busy schedule with how many other series do you write in?
Yeah, I know. It's weird, but I kind of get bored if I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over. So I
Yeah.
like mixing it up a little bit.
I feel the same way. And then I always curse myself when I switch because it's like, oh my gosh, how do I get back into that voice and that setting and that
Mhm.
pace? And then when you finish, you're like, okay, next.
Next.
Yeah, give me something else. Yeah. Oh, good.
Oh,
Charlene says
Charlene, yeah.
it's got killer music. So, yeah, you totally have to start it. It's really good. You'll love it. You'll love it. Now, if you had to pick a favorite of your series to write in, does one have your heart more than the other?
I really love mysteries. I've always loved mysteries growing up. That's what I always imagined writing. So I would say I have the most fun writing the Coop books.
I
So
love that. Now,
women's fiction, I mean, I love all of them and I love all those characters, but I really like the puzzle part of a mystery and
yeah.
that element of it.
Did you have a particularly favorite author or series, as far as mystery writers when you were either when
Oh,
you were younger or as an adult?
yeah, I've read so many. I don't know that I would say he's my favorite, but I love the Prey novels.
Oh, yeah, Sanford.
Sanford.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm just saying I love him. I love David Baldacci's The Camel Club was one of my absolute favorite series ever.
Mhm.
But I
Yes.
remember one over Christmas, I had time off and I went to the library and I got every one of the Prey books. Now, those are not real Christmassy, but
No.
the librarian looked at me like, what are you up to? I'm like, well, I have time off and I want to read all of them. So, I got the whole stack and read them. And that was what I did. I love reading. So
I
that's a
found
great, I love those. I love Harry Bosch. I love
yeah,
so many, Jack Reacher, all
yeah.
those characters. They're all such great characters.
Yeah, those are all ones I love. I loved, I felt like the Prey books were super atmospheric. Like, I felt cold. I felt like it was in Minnesota and the Twin Cities and, just really that's what
Right
stands.
there.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah. And we have relatives in Minnesota. So I liked that aspect because you kind of know the places that they're talking about. It's kind of fun. But
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that
they
too.
were they made you just want to just keep reading. So I love
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. And before we switch to the speed round questions, I will say I really enjoyed the Jack Reacher books. That Lee Child now lives in the part of Wyoming very near CJ Box, which makes that probably like per capita the highest selling,
Nice murder.
the highest murder and book sales of any concentration of people in the
How
US.
funny is that?
It's probably like 20 people with
Right.
it's like Lee Child and CJ Box. But I love the new Reacher series on Amazon Prime. I really feel like
Oh yeah. Isn't
they
that good?
casted it well. Yeah. And I
They
was
hit that one out of the park. They did a good job with the casting.
totally, and I did not feel that way about the movie. So super, super fun.
Yes.
Well, I hope that that Deadly Deception is a huge hit for you. I know it will be because this series is just so much fun. If you guys haven't read it yet, before we switch to the speed round, be sure that you're looking for the Cooper Harrington detective novels and Deadly Deception. Tammy L. Grace. Now, Are you ready? We're going to ask you. Oh, Emily's here. Hi, Emily. I know her name doesn't look like Emily, but this is Emily. If you haven't met her before,
Hi, Emily.
So are you a sushi or a pizza kind of person?
Pizza.
Oh, good. Okay. Now you don't live directly on the coast, so that's probably a smart decision.
Yeah.
To be careful, those of
Yeah,
us.
it would be more gas station sushi.
Which is bad. It's a bad thing.
No, I'm not a real big fish person.
Okay. With respect to Coop, if you and Coop were to go out for a drink someday, what would Coop be drinking? And do you have a libation of choice if it was a happy hour situation?
Well, I don't drink alcohol. So
there you
it
go.
would be like, I love Arnold Palmer's. I love
There's a good.
iced tea and lemonade. Coop would probably have sweet tea or a beer.
Yeah. Yeah. My husband and I go through, well, we went 15 years without drinking, and we still go these long segments. And I can never figure out why we go one or the other, because we're so much happier when we just don't. And Emily says pizza for me, and she loves your book covers, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Emily. That's thanks to my designer, not me.
You know, what I love about those book covers is that while they're branded so well, and they are branded fantastic, you know you've got a Coop Harrington novel when you just get a glimpse of it. Each one of them is not only a different color, but it is a different background. And I love the subtle shift while keeping the branding. So it's just all perfection.
Thank you.
We also have another pizza lover here. We have a lot of people weighing in, and I want to read this one because this is for me someone that has a lot of affection for your series, and everybody needs to hear it. It's the little extra things in the Coop series that makes you feel like you know them. The huge cup of coffee, M&Ms, Aunt Camille's cookies, takeout breakfast for Annabelle that she shares with Gus. They pop in each book and make it fun. Very cool.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we have another person that's a non-alcohol drinker, coffee a must. And now the next question. If you were to win a very large lottery type sum of money.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like this.
I know. This is starting out good, isn't it? If you're like me, it's like, first I'd have to play. This is impossible because I don't play.
Right.
But
I never play.
If you did, what is it that you see yourself spending the money on?
You know, I would probably spend it on buying a place where I could go and write, either at Lake Tahoe or in the San Juan Islands. That's where my other series is set, and I love the San Juan Islands. So
yeah,
that would be what I would probably splurge it on.
So you like cold weather is what I'm hearing here. You're not afraid of
it. I'm not a heat lover at all.
Excellent.
And I mean, I'm probably not like your level of cold, but you are next level cold. But I like, what I like is about 60 degrees all the time.
Well, that's not bad. I do like it a little colder because I like it to be cold enough for the dogs and everybody to feel like that they really want to go. But for furry dogs to want to pull a sled, or a cart, they have to feel like they can run. And a horse, little trivia for you. Ideal temperature for a horse is around 20 degrees. So, they also appreciate a little cold weather. So I'm not crazy. I have some compadres that like it too. Four-legged compadres. But all right. So I am picturing your writing retreat. I'm seeing some orcas off the coast of the San Juan Islands, a lot of really hot beverages, spiced tea, coffee tea. Sounds good to me. Now, if at your little writing retreat, whether Tahoe or the San Juan Islands, now you're there, what is your setup? How do you get in the mood to write? Are you I wear the same kind of clothes? Do you you like to make a nest in a particular spot? Do you have to have, are you freestyle?
We talked about this in my book, friends, and I am just old school. I have to be in my office on a desktop. I cannot be in a chair or on the grass or in a coffee shop or any of those things. So I would have to build myself a little office wherever I built this imaginary, beautiful house and have it outfitted so that I love having my regular keyboard. I really hate laptop keyboards. I just can't stand them. So I'm pretty old school when it comes to that. But I like writing in a notebook. That's how I usually start.
That's even older school.
Yeah, I'm really old school, ancient school.
Ancient school, dinosaur school.
There you go.
Well, no, I love that. I mean, and do you find that your creativity works differently when you're longhand versus when you're typing? Is it different stages of the writing process that you try to work
I always start with the notebook and the writing. I think there's something about holding a pen and, like I said, I'm old, so that's how I used to always write. But,
yeah, not
just
to the old part.
Yeah, I don't feel like it has to be organized, it's just kind of a flow. And so I think about the setting, think about the characters, think about, what I'm going to do. So I play with a pen and paper. And then when I come to write, it's pretty much, I've already got an idea of what I'm doing. I'm not a total plotter, but I have to have something, in mind, not just a total blank free for all.
Do you have any collaborators, any writing partners that you either pass drafts to or bounce ideas off of?
I don't at the moment. I have talked to other writers, some my book friends, authors that you may or may not know, and we will trade ideas, or talk about little things. But I don't actually trade
back and forth. I don't anymore either. In fact, I'll tell you, if there is one thing that I have a real love-hate relationship with about writing for a publisher, it's that I have to let other people tell me what they think. I used to love that because I didn't know, but once you develop some confidence in what you're writing, you're like, okay,
leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Well, you're with Book a Tour. Book a Tour. I wrote for Book a Tour, and I really liked writing for them.
Yeah,
it was a nice experience. I had a really good experience. So I think they're better than others.
Yes. And I absolutely love my editor there. So at the same time as I say that, I want you to know, Helen, that you make my books better, even if it really irritates me.
Yeah, they do. They do. And an editor. I mean, I work with an editor on my books all the time, but their process at Book a Tour is way more intense than the editor, that kind of gives you ideas. They're a little more in depth.
Yep, exactly. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate, as I said, you get me into my book friends, because I love it. You coming on the show, love it. And introducing me to Coop and Gus and Annabelle, which I love as well. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And thanks to all your readers.
Okay, everybody give a big Crime and Wine wave goodbye virtually from wherever you are. Tammy, I'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, you take care.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye. And you guys, this is the really super exciting part of the show where, hold on, we have a few more comments. Yes, definitely the furry personal assistant. That, Tammy has that furry personal assistant. And we have a couple of thank yous and goodbyes to Tammy. So this is the super exciting part of the show where I am obligated to tell you that Crime and Wine is a copyrighted production of Authors on the Air Global Radio Network, which is a digital media group with over 4 million listeners in 153 plus countries, and that you can find past shows and upcoming shows on my website, as well as my books. And it is not going to hurt my feelings at all if you go out there and check out my new releases, Skin and Bones in the Patrick Flint series, or the first 3 Delaney Pace books, Her Silent Bones, Her Hidden Grave, and Her Last Cry. I literally just almost forgot the names of my books there. You almost watched me freeze dead in the internet headlights. But I would love it if you guys checked that out. One last person to shine the light on, saying thank you. Everybody, appreciate you so much. I will check you next week when we are back together once again for another episode of Crime and Wine. And until then, go out and read Deadly Deception and a lot of other good books, and we'll talk about it next week. Bye, you guys.
Thanks for joining us today on Crime and Wine, chats with crime fiction authors and Pamela Fagan Hutchins. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll check back in with us next time for more thrills, suspense, and stories that will mystify, sometimes horrify, and always leave you wanting more.